Welcome to a Jabroni's Guide for PC Gaming. I've noticed quite a few members of my community get into PC gaming lately, and that's great! Thumbs up from me, I love to see that. But every now and then they ask me questions just about what to do, what parts to get, or just general tips for getting into PC gaming, and while I'm not a hardware expert myself, I've been PC gaming for quite a few years at this point, so I thought let's make a video, a beginner's guide, what I call a Jabroni's Guide to PC gaming. You just got your new machine, what to do, how to set it up, stuff like that. Especially if you just want to plug and play and just want to play some games. So let's get into it. So my recommendation is after you've set up the computer and all that, what you're going to want to do is download two storefronts. Steam, which is what you'll generally use for your games, and Epic Games. Now relax. There's a reason for this. Basically, Steam is the big dog on campus. It is where most PC players play their games. And Epic Games, yeah, the Fortnite people, want to try and draw an audience away from Steam, so they give away games fairly regularly. More often than not, once a week. And they can be some pretty good games. Over the last year or two, I've gotten it says 153 total, and I didn't even pick up every game they gave away. So that's why I would recommend downloading Epic Games. You can get a pretty sizable catalog of really good and varied games by just essentially having it there and checking it once a week. Now, a lot of people that get into PC gaming, chances are you're a gamer from a console, and you like controllers, and controllers do work on PC. To get them to work, you just plug them in with a USB. Yeah, it's kind of that simple. There's some options in Steam you can mess with if you really want to, but most of the time when it comes to PC gaming, you will get Xbox button prompts. I would recommend using an Xbox controller because that is kind of the standard on PC, but you can use a PlayStation or even a Nintendo controller if you really want to, but you may get confused with the button prompt, but you can get used to it. There is a setting in Steam, by the way, to change the Nintendo button layout to basically just swap A and B, if that's what you want to do, but realistically, if you just want to plug and play, plug in your controller, it may do an install for, I want to say, like 5 seconds, and then you're good. Okay, this is a big one, because even I messed this up way back in the day, so it's easy to miss. With PC gaming, you can get rather high frame rates. You have to make sure your computer is actually set to use those high frame rates. I'm running NVIDIA, and I can mess with this option in the NVIDIA control panel. I think AMD has a similar program for this, depends upon what your GPU is. So just right here in change resolution, you can see I'm set to 1440p. Refresh rate. Make sure this is not set to 60, set it to the highest value you have available to you. Just thank me later. Chances are, if you're into PC gaming, you had to learn this one the hard way. Chances are you heard Xbox and PlayStation tout their new SSDs, which is in essence a type of storage device that allows for way faster loads and stuff like that. So when you download games on your PC, just try and make sure they're on an SSD. Some games almost require it, some you can get away on an HDD, it depends upon what you're using. If you can, just use an SSD. Next thing to be aware of is that PC is customizable. Really customizable. That's one of the main pros of being on PC as a platform. And there's a lot of options that you can toggle to maximize your FPS given your rig. I'll use Halo Infinite here as an example. We just go to the options menu, go to settings, go over to video, and this is where you'll find a lot of your settings. VRAM is essentially the memory on your graphics card. You want to stay within it. If you spill over it, well, then your performance will drastically shoot down. That's a gross oversimplification, but that's generally what happens. Now, I'm on a pretty high-end machine over here, so most of my settings will be on maximum. However, just set them to whatever you are most satisfied with for your machine. Do you care more about graphical fidelity and not about FPS? Do you care more about FPS? Target to whatever you specifically want. There are some settings that tend to be rather universal in terms of how intensive they can be on your machine. Things like anti-aliasing here, or just shadow quality overall, and especially stuff like ray tracing can be really intensive on your machine. So if you want to squeeze out a bit more FPS, maybe lower those down a bit for yourself. Just because the option's there does not mean that it's better for it. I generally don't like blur in any game, so I always turn it off. Whether that's just blur, depth of field, or just motion blur. Now, we're about to get a little bit nerdy, but I'll keep it rather simple. There are, in my opinion, two types of games. GPU-intensive games and CPU-intensive games. GPU-intensive games are the ones where you can really maximize your FPS by turning down, essentially, the graphics of the game. Stuff like shadows, texture quality, and whatnot. These are the games that really benefit by having a really powerful GPU. CPU-intensive games are the ones that rely on doing a lot of computations in the background. Stuff like your Fortnites, your MMORPGs, and even Minecraft, where the game is running a bunch of calculations, so having a strong CPU allows it to do that more effectively and efficiently. So to maximize FPS in those kinds of games, toggle settings that affect the calculations that the game has to run. So stuff like render distance, or like chunk loading in Minecraft. In essence, on a game-by-game basis, you can engage in this balancing act to achieve generally what you prioritize more in your games. I tend to be more FPS focused, so I focus on maximizing my FPS most of the time, to a point. But again, if you just can't be asked bothering with all these settings individually, most games will have these presets that you can just toggle. Low, medium, high, ultra, use the one that you like the most for your machine. Generally, going lower will give you more FPS, at least it should. And if you really want to track your FPS in a game, I would recommend getting an FPS counter. Some games have these built in, but if you're rocking an Nvidia machine like I am, then you just have to go to the GeForce Experience. I have a hotkey set for this with Alt-Z, brings this up. I go to options right here, go down to HUD layout, I click on performance, click on a position of the screen that I want the data to be shown in. I like bottom left generally. This is just FPS. You can see the FPS value in the bottom left corner of the screen. If you want to see what FPS you're getting and what options really affect it, this is a good tool to be able to have in your back pocket. If you care about the performance of your individual parts, then you have basic and advanced, which will give you a bit more information. Sure, it takes up some screen real estate, so I only really use this if I'm testing stuff. I used this a lot back in the day on my older machine. It was a rather weaker machine, and I wanted that information, so I could find the settings that I want, and then I could just ignore it. Most of the time, though, I just use FPS. But this is kind of nerd stuff. If you really just want that plug-and-play experience, realistically for each game, then all you will be doing is just going to the quality preset, setting it down to like high, medium, or low, whatever, depending upon what kind of machine you're rocking, and you're just gonna rock with that. Maybe you change the actual resolution, and you don't really have to think about it outside of that. If you don't want to maximize or min-max this kind of stuff, you don't have to. That is the thing with PC gaming. You can get really into the weeds of it if you want to, but if you want that more traditional plug-and-play experience, unless you're on really, really, really old hardware, that option is available to you. There is a rather large misconception that PC gaming has to be more expensive than console. Nowadays, you can probably make a PC for around the same price as a PS5. You save a lot of money back in the back end with just the insane amount of deals and sales that are on PC. I already talked about how Epic Games basically gives away games every week, but Steam sales are legendary, and I do roundups every major Steam sale covering my recommendations for those Steam sales. I recommend you check those out. But Steam also does sales periodically. Like right now, because of the whole Fallout show stuff, you have this big Fallout sale. You can get Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition for $5. It's 75% off. That's a lot of game. Helldivers 2 is $40. That's not on sale. Fallout 76, we don't talk about that one. Fallout New Vegas, 75% off at $249. You have Xbox Game Studios Publisher sale on PC right now. Forza, 50% off. Sea of Thieves, 50% off. Grounded, Fully Yoked Edition, 40% off. Flight Simulator, 40% off. Age of Empires 4, 33% off. Master Chief Collection, 75% off. Age of Empires 2, Definitive Edition, 50% off. Wasteland 3, 80% off. Hellblade, 90% off. State of Decay 2, 50% off. Quantum Break, $9.99. Ori the Collection, Metroidvania 2D platformers that I absolutely love and cherish, 73% off for $13.39 for what I assume is both games. Sunset Overdrive, 67% off. Fable Anniversary, 70% off. If you shop smartly on PC, there's an absolute insane amount of deals that you can take advantage of. A lot of games on PC end up going on sale. We have seen this start to happen on console as well, but the PC sales are still rather legendary. If you don't care about necessarily owning the game and you just want to play a lot of games and on a budget, You have Xbox PC Game Pass. PC Game Pass, in my opinion, is the best value Game Pass subscription available. And through it, you can play all of these games. All the Yakuza games, Tomb Raider, Wolfenstein, just to name a few. And like, these games can change on this list every now and then, but there's still a lot of games on this list. So if you're trying to play on a budget, this can be really valuable to you. It won't be for everyone, but just like, keep an eye out for it. I know a lot of people like to just play on their couch. I don't, but a lot of people out there do. And they may like to do so to such a degree that they would rather go to console just for that experience. Well, you can do it on PC as well. Steam has this thing called Big Picture Mode. It allows you to pretty much bring up Steam on your TV, and then just sit back in a couch with a different UI that's suited more to controller, and just play your games like that. So, if that is a style of just playing games that you really enjoy, look into that. There's also a lot of variety when it comes to mouse and keyboards. I use a Razer Naga mouse. It's essentially a mouse with a bunch of buttons on the side of it because I like playing MMORPGs and I want those extra buttons that I can just use my thumb on my mouse for. It's by no means mandatory, but if you like that kind of stuff, it's available. At the end of the day, PC is all about that user experience and customizing it all to what you specifically want, and if you want to go down the rabbit hole of any one individual thing, you can, but you don't have to. Now, just for a couple of disclaimers that you just want to keep in the back of your mind, if you're not particularly tech savvy, I'm not. One big thing, if you ever notice that there's some weird issues going on with your PC, just update your graphics card's drivers. You can do this in the NVIDIA GeForce Experience app. You may have to download that, but you'll be surprised how often an issue may arise and it's just, oh, I need to update my drivers. Also, look, we were all beginners at some point or another, and I even had this issue a while back. What you're gonna want to do, by the way, is plug your monitor into your PC's graphics card on your PC and not the motherboard. Please, for the love of God, make sure you didn't do this. Plug it into the graphics card. The location may vary depending upon your setup. I generally tend to find that GPUs are lower on the case. If you aren't getting the performance you should with your machine, chances are that could be it. At the end of the day, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say superstitions, but a lot of notions that have carried themselves over even into the modern day from the last couple of decades about being on PC to game. That it could be clunky or just full of issues, or that you have to go for like a 500 IQ tech play to just solve any issue that arises. And I tend to find, most of the time at least, PC gaming is far more plug and play than it tends to get credit for. No paid online. I find, inviting people with Steam to be rather simple and easy. You have Discord for just voice chat overall, which is really intuitive. I tend to find things are just easier on PC more often than not. And every now and then an issue may arise, right? Where it can get stressful and you're like trying to Google desperately to find the solution and all that. Because let's be fair here, not everyone here is gonna have like a master's or a doctorate in computer science and know exactly every part and what it does and all that. And sometimes you may need to delve into the old forums of old to try and find that one post with the secret recipe or formula to fix whatever issue you have or that's arising for you. But I genuinely believe that PC is a phenomenal platform to play games on. I prefer playing games on PC whenever I have the option. You don't need a super high-end machine to play and enjoy games on PC. I had a really old machine for the longest time. Well, not really old, but compared to modern standards, it was a machine from like 2016 or 2017, I forget exactly when. And was I getting the best resolution or best graphics and best frame rates of all time? No. But I was able to significantly enjoy the PC experience because there's a lot of pros that don't get talked about all that often. And going from a platform like console to a platform like PC can be rather intimidating because it's an entirely different ecosystem and way of playing than you're used to. And you may feel out of your element, and that's okay. You can always Google something, you can always go at it at your own pace. I tend to find, though, that PC gaming is far more plug and play and user-friendly than a lot of people let on. And once you get accustomed and, well, I guess just accustomed to PC gaming, it can be rather hard or just kind of annoying to go back. But as the lines between exclusivity and PC and consoles blur, with console developers porting their games to PC more and more frequently, PC is largely the place to play games nowadays. And the customization on offer on PC is borderline impossible to beat. It's definitely not perfect, right? It's not some kind of utopia. It has its issues, but I tend to find the pros drastically outweigh the cons. Nobody was an expert on day one. Just feel free to ask questions, and the more and more you play on PC, the more and more accustomed you may become to the individual tech components components. You may gain some kind of like instinct for, oh, this game's not running the best, I should go change this option or this option. But the most important thing is to have fun. Have those cool wallpapers, have those cool games in your catalog, and just enjoy gaming, because gaming is awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that video was able to help some of you out there who are just trying to get into PC gaming. As I said at the top of this video, I know quite a few people from my community are getting into PC gaming and just don't know entirely what to do, or just want some like tips and guides. And I covered most of the things that I could think of, and if you have tips of your own that you would like to share, please leave a comment down below. And if you have questions as well, again, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. If I can help, I would love to. And if other people out there know the answers to them, well, maybe they can help as well. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to enjoy some good old video games. Stay safe, have a great day, leave a like and subscribe to help the video out, and to help the channel out, and to support for more content, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again.